Juneteenth, it's more than a holiday.
This is the celebration of our liberation of our people, but it's also a reminder of the resilience of our people.
It's about freedom and the fight to keep it.
Freedom, especially for Black people in this country, has never arrived easily and never without a fight.
For 49 years, a parade, a festival, a celebration rooted on Buffalo's East Side. This Juneteenth, a new Nana is crowned.
A West African term used to acknowledge an elder or someone who has the same reverence as a king or a queen.
And as Buffalo celebrates a decades-long tradition, a neighboring town celebrates for the first time.
I really hope to see this island park filled with lots of people from different ages and cultural, racial backgrounds.
A pivotal moment in our history as we look back to the trailblazers who helped shape it.
They represent that transition from the U.S. military only turning to the use of Black soldiers in a time of crisis.
This is a Two on Your Side special, Juneteenth, a celebration of freedom and resilience. Thank you so much for joining us for this Two on Your Side special. I'm Claudine Ewing. This Juneteenth, we have a lot to celebrate. We're highlighting stories of struggle, strength, and the legacy that lives on, from Buffalo's 49th Juneteenth parade to a neighborhood hosting its very first celebration. This holiday reminds us that freedom was delayed but never denied. And to understand why we celebrate, we begin with where Juneteenth began and the message that still echoes today. Here's Channel 2's Pete Gallivan.
After 4 bloody years, the Union defeated the Confederacy to win the Civil War and abolish slavery in April 1865. There were nearly 4 million slaves in the U.S. at that time, and Union armies began marching through the southern states, freeing thousands of slaves each day. The news took months to reach Texas, the westernmost state in the Confederacy. And on June 19, 1865, Major General Gordon Granger and 2,000 Union troops rode into Galveston, Texas, and told the slaves of their freedom. Granger's words spread through Texas. All at once, slaves found out the war was over and they were free. Their joyous, spontaneous celebration gave birth to Juneteenth. Juneteenth, a combination of the words June and 19th, commemorates when the last enslaved people in the South were finally set free. Many slaves were met with violence or even death when they tried to leave, yet the promise of freedom extinguished fear and fueled generations of indestructible people. Former slaves gathered on Juneteenth the next year and the year after that. And over the decades, Black communities observed the holiday with festive family gatherings, colorful parades, and bountiful barbecues. Texas became the first state to make Juneteenth an official holiday in 1980. Since then, all 50 states and Washington, D.C. also recognized Juneteenth as a holiday. In 2021, President Joe Biden signed the bill making June 19th a federal holiday in the United States. Juneteenth is a celebration of independence, the day all Americans were truly free.
Juneteenth began in Texas, but its spirit has spread across the country. Buffalo is home to one of the largest and longest running Juneteenth celebrations in the entire nation. As the city prepares to mark its 49th Juneteenth parade and festival, organizers say it's about more than just celebration. It's about connection. It's about empowerment and keeping tradition alive. It's the celebration of freedom, history, culture, and resilience.
We're celebrating our 49th year now, and we're one of the largest.
Buffalo Juneteenth 2025.
Juneteenth was founded here in Buffalo as an alternative to the 4th of July so that we could be in touch with our culture in numbers, to come show up in numbers.
Thousands come out every year for the two-day festival that offers so much.
We have a lot of things going on culturally with dance, drum, science tents, book fairs, of course the food, the African vendors and things, their reflection on what our culture is. I always encourage people, come to look at the different vending concessions from the Africans, showing our wares, our materials, our jewelry, our fragrances.
When a person comes to Juneteenth, What do you want them to walk away feeling or knowing?
Oh my gosh, so I love that question. I love that question. What can I take away to empower me as a person or a group? What can I take away to empower my family and just know about myself and my culture and be the best that I could be?
You will find 3 stages at the festival.
Edutainment, and that's geared towards the young adults. The arts and culture stage, where there's a lot of spoken word, a lot of speakers, some musical acts too.
And a stage with some of the best local music. Juneteenth Buffalo is keeping the culture alive.
We don't really depend on governmental money that way, and the founding members and the long-standing board members would prefer it that way. We'd like to make Juneteenth very, very self-sustaining, and with that, again, our sponsors are very loyal to us.
And it all starts with the parade.
We have approximately 140 different groups in the parade.
USA flag, USA power!
And then those groups are multiplied by the amount of people that are in each group. And that takes us close to 4,000 people. This is a moving event. And the word performances, we're just trying to say, okay, we're not performing. If you can walk while perform, yes, we can call it performing. But we want people to move from point A to point B.
It's a parade like no other in Buffalo.
Our culture bubbles up. The desire of having it a cultural event for our neighborhood and our community. So you can walk down Genesee Street between Bailey and the park any given day of the week, and you will never, ever see the element of a parade until the parade happens. And that's the real beauty of it. It allows our families and our friends and our children to come out and sit on the curb or take part in the parade and do a drill. They can do a step, they can do a dance.
And while Buffalo prepares to mark its 49th Juneteenth parade just 20 minutes away, the village of Williamsville is gearing up to host a Juneteenth celebration of its own for the very first time. Channel 2's Scott Levin spoke with the organizers behind the movement, leading an effort to make their community a more welcoming place for everyone.
I hope to see a large crowd, a diverse crowd. I hope to see all cultures.
Christine Hunt, the mayor of the village of Williamsville, is excited for the village's first Juneteenth celebration at Island Park. It's Saturday, June 21st, and organizers hope the park will be filled with people. Attorney Denisha Scott Warren is the chair of Juneteenth in Williamsville.
When you come out here on this day, Saturday, June 21st, what do you expect and hope to see?
I really hope to see this island park filled with lots of people from different ages and cultural and racial backgrounds here to have that experience that we so desperately want people to come out.
Why is that important?
It's important for me. I'm a mom, other than a corporate attorney. I'm a mom of 5 kids, and I want them to make Williamsville their home one day, you know, and their children. And I want that level of acceptance that, you know, everybody will know about their culture and where they come from.
The committee has a full plate of events planned for this special day.
We're going to have legislative, we're going to have dignitaries coming, we're going to have a keynote. Honorable McLeod will be here, representative from the Niagara Falls Railroad, Saladin Allah. We're very excited to have him as well too. We're going to have music performances with the Colored Musicians Club, and Vibrant Strings will also be here playing as well, so we're very excited for them. We're going to be having cultural food, and restaurants are coming as well, so we want people to come out and have a taste of culture as well. We're going to have artisans as well and different vendors selling products, and we're actually adding another facet to it where we're going to have organizations that are representative of the African American Black community, from students that are going to be presenting scientific research, pre-med students, medical students, Minority Bar Association.
Wow, there's a lot planned.
Yeah, so because we want people to realize that African Americans are in all facets of your life,
right.
So we want to make sure that's represented during the Juneteenth celebration.
So why is this important, Tanisha?
I think it's very important because I think sometimes people don't realize the the importance of Juneteenth because they don't necessarily know about it.
Right.
And especially when you look in some of the suburbs where it may not be, a large population of Black or African Americans in that community. And if they have a knowledge of it and learn a little bit more about it, then we're hoping for a lot more inclusivity and acceptance.
Denisha also hopes the event begins a discussion for the individuals and the families that attend.
I hope that they have more open conversations, or if they learned a little bit more about something they may not have known about, and that their kids are more comfortable asking them questions about things, because now maybe parents will have a little bit more knowledge to be able to share that with their kids. And if they don't, they'll have an idea of resources of where to go to get those answers, because as parents, we don't always have the answers.
Mayor Hunt is proud to bring this event to the village, an event they hope becomes a yearly celebration.
How proud I am that our committee took the initiative, that our Arts, Culture, and Diversity Committee took the initiative to put this program together and to put it on the calendar, yes, and how much I'm looking forward to participating in it and to welcoming everybody to the village of Williamsville.
It was a buffalo soldier in the heart of America.
Bob Marley made the name famous, but the real Buffalo Soldiers were Black men. Ahead, learn about their legacy as we celebrate the spirit of Juneteenth. Plus, New York is taking a closer look at its own history, what's being done now, and what could come next in the fight for justice and repair. That and more when Juneteenth, the celebration of freedom and resilience, returns. Welcome back. You may have heard the term Buffalo Soldiers in history books or even in songs, but who were they and do they have any ties to our city? As we mark Juneteenth, a celebration of freedom and resilience, we turn to Texas, where Juneteenth began in 1865. And what Channel 2's Ron Plants uncovered is a powerful chapter in Black history.
It was a buffalo soldier in the heart of America.
The 1983 release of Buffalo Soldier by Bob Marley and the Wailers helped popularize the story of the historic black male military units organized in 1866 in the wake of emancipation and the Civil War to serve out on the wild western frontier, as explained by historians at the Buffalo Soldier National Museum in Houston, Texas.
You talk about a mix of freedmen who some who came from the North and did not serve in the Civil War. They might have missed it because they were too young. You also had a mix of Civil War veterans who basically wanted to continue their military service after the Civil War. But you also had formerly enslaved too from areas in the South as well as the border states.
And their duties out west is about 20% of U.S. Army cavalry and infantry units at the time, protecting settlers and sometimes Indian tribes as well, and escorting wagon trains, stagecoaches, and railroad crews, along with building bridges, stringing telegraph wires, and eventually becoming the earliest form of National Park Service rangers, protecting wildlife from poachers. The term Buffalo Soldier has nothing to do with our western New York City, but historians theorize Native Americans used that term for these African American soldiers who, in their view, somewhat resembled those symbolic animals of the western plains, and for their bravery in battle. Like John Denny from Elmira, New York, who won the Medal of Honor for rescuing a fellow wounded soldier while under fire. And yes, there was at least one female Buffalo Soldier, Cathay Williams, who posed as a man to enlist.
Some say it had to do with the eye texture, or eye color, the skin color, and the natural texture of the hair. Some say it had to do with the nation's fighting spirit.
In the early 1900s, some members also served at Fort Ontario in Oswego, New York, on Lake Ontario. Enlistment for Buffalo soldiers meant $13 a month with food, clothing, and shelter, but also some rights like reading and writing instruction, not always granted back then to black civilians, with racism and perhaps grudging respect above prejudice as professional soldiers with military careers. The museum shows how they persevered and helped lead the way for other black soldiers in later years in U.S. history, with eventual desegregation of the armed forces, even reaching for the stars as astronauts.
While the focus tends to be on the Buffalo Soldiers, we also chronicle pretty much black military history from basically the American Revolutionary War to the modern era.
The museum plans to observe the 160th anniversary of Juneteenth with a Buffalo Soldiers military reenactors event and a seminar on the real meaning of emancipation and how military duty affected African Americans who served.
Well, what's the long-term multi-generational impacts after those regiments came home? How did their military experience impact them? Like, how did it lead to them becoming either leaders in their community, or how did it lead them to doing certain innovations and stuff like that?
We'll have a link to the Buffalo Soldier National Museum at our WGRZ.com website.
In the heart of downtown Buffalo, Juneteenth celebrations officially began with the powerful symbol, the raising of the Juneteenth flag outside of Buffalo City Hall.
Raising this flag is more than just a symbolic act to me. It's a commitment to keep pushing this nation forward.
City and community leaders came together to honor the legacy of freedom and resilience.
Freedom is fought for. It is not free. Many people have died so that I could stand here today.
From elected leaders to grassroots organizers, the message was clear.
Juneteenth is not just about the past, it's about the present, and it's fights to be seen, to be heard, and to be counted.
And as the flag was raised, the voices of generations, past and present, lifted up a shared message of hope.
Through this celebration, we affirm our uniqueness, we affirm our honor, we affirm the journey of our ancestors, and embrace a future filled with promise.
Buffalo's Juneteenth flag is red, black, and green, colors that represent African heritage and pride. But nationally, there's another flag you might see this time of year, one that's also full of symbolism and history. Channel 2's Andy Payton breaks down the meaning behind every detail of the Juneteenth flag recognized across the country.
The Juneteenth flag commemorates the day that slavery ended in the U.S. The red, white, and blue banner with a bursting star in the middle is full of symbols, according to the flag's creator, activist Ben Haith, founder of the National Juneteenth Celebration Foundation. Let's start with the colors. Of course, representing the American flag and a reminder that slaves and their descendants were and are Americans. The curve across the width of the flag represents a new horizon, the opportunities and promises that lay ahead for Black Americans after freedom. The white star in the center of the flag has a dual meaning, representing Texas, the Lone Star State. It was in Galveston in 1865, where Union soldiers informed the country's last remaining slaves that the Civil War was over and they were free. Haith says the star also goes beyond Texas, representing the freedom of African Americans in all 50 states. The bursting outline around the star is inspired by a nova or new star, according to astrology. This represents a new beginning for all African Americans. On your side, Andy Payton, Channel 2 News.
And as we reflect on the symbols of freedom, including the Juneteenth flag, there's also a deeper conversation happening about the lasting impact of slavery. In New York, a state commission is taking a closer look at what reparations could look like today. In 2023, the governor signed a bill establishing the commission. July 2024, the commission came together.
This is critical, especially during Juneteenth, when we talk about freedoms and we talked about who didn't have all the freedoms. Those are certainly people that have been impacted by slavery.
A report was due at the end of last year. They've received an extension.
Now we have until January of 2027 to put together a report on recommendations.
Recommendations are based on your stories, which are historical accounts, and your ideas for restorative justice. This all comes from public hearings across the state. This one was held in Harlem at the Schomburg Center.
The discussion taking place here today is an important one in the history of our people.
Buffalo set the bar for the public hearings because those New Yorkers, they came together and they had a plan for what should happen specifically in Buffalo. Buffalo New Yorkers, they talked about some of the areas that were left behind and not even having trees, and people came together with plans for just building and uplifting neighborhoods that have been long forgotten and certainly impacted of slavery. They talked about redlining. They talked about policy change work.
The commission will use information from the hearings to compose a recommendations report, then share it with New Yorkers for their response. Then it goes to lawmakers for implementation. Call it a plan of remedies to justices Black New Yorkers endured.
Many people think that New York did not have a role in slavery, and in fact, there was an active slave trade right on Wall Street.
And now the commission wants you to bring ideas for action.
Our commission's name is Community Commission for Reparation Remedies, and so the community's voice is critical and is central to the work that we're doing.
It's always an honor to get something from your community when your community recognizes you. So it's very important.
Still to come, a special honor for a Buffalo couple. This Juneteenth, hear how it's paying tribute to an old tradition with deep West African roots. Plus, if you think it's just music, think again. Learn about the power of the drum and how a centuries-old tradition continues to inspire freedom, identity, and pride. That story and more when Juneteenth, the celebration of freedom and resilience, returns. It's a special part of Buffalo's Juneteenth celebration, recognizing those who've made a lasting impact in the community. Each year, a couple is honored with the ceremonial title of Nana, a West African term of deep respect. Well, this year, that recognition goes to two longtime educators. They are also storytellers and champions of local Black history. It's an old tradition that has resurfaced over the past few years. The King and Queen, or as it's referred to at Juneteenth, Nana. Taken from the West African meaning, Nana is a title of respect, gender neutral, used to show honor. The Buffalo Urban League is sponsoring the special couple, Kenneth and Sharon Holly.
The Hollies have given so much to this community, just in their everyday lives, you know, their raising of their families, what they've done in terms of presenting and preserving our culture through Zawadi books, and also in our oral presentation and storytelling, just keeping our history present.
We're really excited because it's always an honor to get something from your community when your community recognizes you.
The Hollies have been married 49 years, and for the 49th anniversary of the Juneteenth Festival in Buffalo, they're going to hold the special title. So who are they? We
have started Harami Bookstore. Surprisingly enough, it's back in 49 years too that we started that. Malcolm X Day Committee, the Kwanzaa Committee, Marcus Garvey Day Committee. We've been part of all that history that's come to Buffalo. And we try to put it as sort of be part of our cultural history so people know about it, people come out and celebrate it.
Sharon Holly is a retired librarian and storyteller.
In Buffalo, the significance of celebrating Juneteenth mean to try to reconstruct some of that history, to be able to talk about where we've been as a people and to be able to celebrate what has taken place. So it's significant that the Juneteenth celebration in Buffalo started on the bicentennial of the country, but tried to bring people in focus as to what was going on, especially with African American history in this country.
They are parents of 3, grandparents of 7. Juneteenth and history is something they've always taught their family.
The important thing of taking it out of the books, when you make it part of your culture like you do with Juneteenth, It makes it come alive. And our children actually get to see it. They get to see what their grandparents and their great-grandparents have accomplished over the years. And that's very important. Because if it's in the books, you may not pick up the book, but if you say, oh, we're coming out to see the parade, we're coming out to see the vendors, we're coming out to learn some of our stories from our elders, then they really believe it.
Somebody recognizes things that you're doing, but you're not seeking that has some kind of special promise to it.
And while the king and queen represent the heart of the parade, there's also a powerful beat that carries the soul of Juneteenth. It's a rhythm rooted in resistance, resilience, and healing. 2 on Your Side's Alyssa Clausell tells us how the African drum continues to connect generations and preserve a culture that refused to be silenced.
If you listen closely,
it's an instrument that has no boundaries or limits.
You won't just hear it, you'll feel it. The pulse of history, heartache, and heritage, all wrapped up in one rhythm.
It's a soul healing. The music, the dance, those things help soothe pains that regular therapies can't.
Centuries of culture and history alive in the beat of the African djembe drum at MLK Park.
The music has the ability to, it's a universal language.
Ross Jomo Okono has been connected to that language since he was a kid.
Spent a lot of years studying and playing.
And he's been keeping the beat and the tradition alive ever since, passing it on to the next generation.
This is my father, so I started drumming as early as I could remember as a child.
Tafari Okono is often playing right next to his dad, but growing up, it may have felt more like a chore.
Half the time I didn't want to drum when I was a young kid, but learning those tools then and then coming back to it, it's even more important and you see even more. So the things that I didn't understand as a child, now that I'm an adult, I understand how important it was.
This father-son duo isn't alone in keeping the heritage alive.
Well, if you have kids, you can't just let them not learn, because it's something that's embedded from the heartbeat.
Ronald Lawrence, originally from Guyana, picked up the drums as a kid in Brooklyn, New York. And soon enough, he'd pass that knowledge on to his son.
I was a fast learner. So when, I was trying to play, they would show me and I would learn real quick.
But the practice itself had to be fought for.
One of the main things is why aren't more of our people playing the drums? The drums were made illegal. We're celebrating Juneteenth, and there were certain rules, laws, and codes that went along with enslaving African people.
Slave codes like this 1800s law from states like South Carolina often ban drumming and other African cultural practices.
It never fully worked because those things were transferred to things with your hands and your feet, like tap dance, putting metal on your shoes.
As we celebrate Juneteenth, it's a powerful reminder that music and culture can heal, carry people through hardship, and inspire a sense of freedom.
Whatever, may have been bothering or troubling your mind, once the drum starts, it's a form of freedom. It takes you on a ride to where you just focused on, expressing, through the music.
I don't know how to explain it, but it just brings all the stress away. I just feel free.
On Your Side, Alyssa Clausell, Channel 2 News.
Thank you so much for joining us for this 2 on Your Side special as we celebrate Juneteenth, its history, and those who continue to fight for freedom. I'm Claudine Ewing. Thanks for watching Juneteenth, a celebration of freedom and resilience.